Huh? Yeah, I'm on it, but come in. Doesn't matter which way I
Where is
go.
it? I can't see you. Ah, yeah. Nice one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boleyn Lounge. I've got,
Good evening, Jeff. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Got Mick here with me, and I'm Jeff. I've got a couple of guests to introduce for you for the chat tonight, so I don't want to leave them waiting in the green room too long. So, first of all, I'm going to bring in Tony from Early Doors TV. Hi, Tony. How are you, mate?
Hi, Jeff. I'm doing well, mate, and thanks for the invite. Much appreciated.
No problem. Welcome to the lounge.
Evening, Mick. Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you.
And also in the green room, I've got James from E20 Zone. So I don't want to keep him waiting out there either. So, hi, James. Welcome to the Boleyn Lounge. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are
you, James?
Oh, good,
Nice
James.
to see you.
Good, mate. Oh, good, man.
Okay, so I'm going to put the comments up. I don't want to miss anyone who's out there. Okay, so we're going to touch briefly on the games that we've just had over the last few days. I know you've done your ratings and one thing or another, James. So I don't suppose you want to dwell on that for too long, but we'll just touch over it quickly.
I'll be short and sweet. Jack and I had West Ham, mate. Simple as that. Like you see it there on Sunday. 45 minutes of crap, 45 minutes of good, and nothing in between. So for me, it wasn't acceptable the other day. Like 45 minutes in the first half, 2-0 down against the Burnley side. I hadn't scored in 5 games, I think it is. Just doesn't make good reading for West Ham. It doesn't do Moyes any favours, I will say that. But second half, you've got to give him credit. He threw the kitchen sink and everything at them, and we should have won the game in the end, like maybe the officials and everything, but we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. So for me, it was poor start, good end, point gained. Simple as that, really, mate, for me.
Yeah, not far wrong. What did you think of the Freiburg game?
I thought it was just West Ham of old. Like West Ham, the same old West Ham seems to appear as ugly head all the time. We go over there, we set up in a negative way, and you get a negative result. Do you know what I mean? I thought second half, if we would have got a draw out the game, would it have been fair? I don't think so. I think first half was awful again. Second half, same thing again. We come out, we had chances. Don't get me wrong, but yet again, it's West Ham playing 45-minute games when the game's 90 minutes, and it shouldn't be like that. So I hope they can turn it around this week, but last week wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah.
Must admit, I think we could have easily won that game on Thursday night 2-0. I'm not saying we deserve to win it 2-0, but I think we could have easily won it 2-0.
Based on what?
Based on a couple of missed chances that should have been put away.
I don't think we had any what you call gilt edged chances. I think the Bowen one was
I'm not
over.
saying they were gilt edged, but we've been a bit more. We've been a bit more clinical over.
I don't think
games,
Bowen's
and
was
we
the
weren't
biggest
clinical.
chance as people made it out to be. It was a difficult finish from there, but yeah.
The keeper's only made one save, really, in the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So based on what that we could have won 2-0, I thought we were.
Aketa missed a header.
James said, I just thought we were poor.
And Mavropanos should have scored as well, I think.
Yeah, had a header, to be fair, at the corner. But
right.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm saying, we could have won the game 2-0. I'm not saying we should have won the game 2-0. But I think they must be looking at themselves thinking, how did we get out of that winning 1-0? But again, bit of poor play from Alvarez. He looked tired for me. And Zuma's sleeping on their goal as well. So there we are. But I don't want to dwell on that too long. That's just my little summation on it. Don't think we should have lost the game. Probably didn't deserve to win the game, but could have easily won the game. And I agree with you, James. Burnley. Like, I mean,
we got
scratching our heads out, we didn't win in the end, but Can't put yourselves in them positions, can you?
Well, going back to the setup, we tried to. I don't know if you lads seen last week's show. It's our first show, but we tried to pick the team for last Thursday.
Yeah.
Got it completely wrong. Put all the first team out. Yeah, and then I said if we do that, we suffer against Burnley. That just a little recap on last week. I said that the only way we're going to get into Europe next season is becoming sixth. There is no chance of us winning Europa League in a million years this year with the teams that are left in it. We're just not good enough. And he plays his strongest team against Freiburg with no intent in winning it. Then he goes to Burnley. He loses Emerson in the game and, changes things around. That's what, if he was going there not to win at Freiburg, just to come away with a 0-0, then he should have played a weakened team until we'll sit back and defend it, because that's what he made the team do in the end. So that's pretty poor football overall for me. Thursday and Sunday, just not enjoyable. Not good.
I agree.
Tony,
Right.
any thoughts?
I mean, that's my views, guys. I mean, it's as James said, it's West Ham of old, isn't it? You remember the old days? You used to have a roll of red carpet under the old armpits and fucking put it out in front of us. Go and score, and we let Burnley get 2 against us in the first half.
Cracking first goal though, mind you, the finish.
Yeah, I mean, you can't knock that at least, but still, it's typical of us. As James alluded, 5 games they haven't scored at all. They come to us, and it's like
2 in 45.
We feel sorry for you. Have a crack, have a go. And obviously the Freiburg game. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? You expect so much more better out of this team, and then you see that performance they put in. It's not acceptable, really, considering what we have done, and then seeing that again, it's just like, pardon the pun, a game of 2 halves. There's no 2 ways about it.
I agree. Really
The thing is, the first goal for Burnley, I mean, I thought Calvin Phillips was opening the door. It's like he said, "Oh, sorry, mate, I'm in your way." Yeah, just breathe past him.
Disgusting.
You got a message
Take a
there,
yellow there. He's got to put a foot in, isn't he?
He's just. I'm not being funny. Like, I see a lot of people say about Phillips, but someone said it on E20 the other day when I had people on straight after the game. Like, how long do you give this geezer before you say enough's enough and this ain't working there? Like, do you know what I mean? That's the problem. Like, that's on Moyes to a point, but that's also on the player. Like, the player needs to get motivated and realise that he's at West Ham United. And the other day, to allow the shot, like, the shot's a great shot, don't get me wrong, the goal, for Farmer's goal was excellent. But to allow the man just to breeze past you with both your hands up in the air, saying, "Go on, I'll let you go through," is a bit of an insult, really. And people knock Souček, people knock other players in his team, and rightfully so in certain moments. But for Calvin Phillips, it seems like he gets a pass because he's new or something. And what someone said to me, make him 100% right. This geezer knows the Premier League. Like, he's been here, he's done it. He should know he should know what he's doing. And like 1 or 2 games to get your fitness up, but now this is the 6th game now. I think it is. Like, it's not good enough for him at all.
Playing devil's advocate of that, where's his headspace? Because he hasn't played football since he joined Manchester City, 18 season and a half ago. He's managed to somehow stay in the England squad. He's come to us, and I think the second weekend, Moyes says he's not even match fit. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, but we did a medical, didn't we? And we have some idea that the guy must be fit. Yeah.
I think what it is, though, Mick, just to say this, it's okay saying about, like, he hasn't played and you're right, but effort, like, there has to be a bit of effort there, like a bit of running around, getting stuck in, throwing your body about. That you don't need to be sort of like, that's what a footballer does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no question of effort. And the other day there was none from him. And to get hooked by Moyes,
I'll be honest, I didn't see the first half, so
yeah, it was shocking.
I didn't see it, but
the thing is, though, Mick, when you look at it, as you said, if you're a player and all of a sudden, like, you're being loaned out, then surely if you think I've got a chance of going back to City, I've got to set my stall out and it starts here at West Ham.
That's what I'm saying. Where's his headspace?
Well, then it just shows you, in certain respects, you blame Leeds the way it was brought up there? Is it their management style? Is it City's management style, the way they're doing it? Is it our management style not getting the best out of this player? Because at the end of the day,
never let England. Let's be fair. Even these City days where he wasn't getting the shirt, I don't advocate him being in the squad by not playing. But whenever he played for England, you can never say he's a wonderful passer of the ball as well. So, yeah. If we're sticking on that subject for a minute, when my thought when Moyes bought him and everyone's going, "Oh, another midfielder," I think Moyes is back centre. We spoke about this last week, so I won't go into too much. But the centre halves at West Ham are just not good enough. However, which way you pair them, he's bought all three of them, by the way. Yeah, and I thought he was going to drop Alvarez in beside someone and put Calvin Phillips in there. I thought that's what he was going to do, but that hasn't happened yet because obviously Calvin Phillips hasn't performed. But I don't know with Kevin Phillips. I have a certain amount of sympathy with him, but at the end of the day, when he pulls that shirt on, as you said, he's got to work hard, James. So
what it is, it's not so much like it's feeling sorry for him to a point. Don't get me wrong, right? And I'm with you on that to a point. But there has to come a time where you have to cut the line and say, right, this is not acceptable now. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Burnley at home, I'll be expecting a bit more. Do you know what I'm saying? If he can't do it against Burnley or a bottom of the league, then who else is there that
he should be bossing games like as one of the main pair England international midfielders. He should be bossing them games for sure.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. And he just hasn't pulled up any trees. Don't get me wrong. There's a few players in this team that seem to be coasting. Like James Ward-Prowse is another one who I feel you got the debate whether he's in the right position or the wrong position or whatever. Like that's fair, but I think there's been certain games, especially in 2024, where he just hasn't done anything. If I'm being honest, of any note. Like I think he's only scored a penalty for us against Bournemouth, and that's it. Like I don't remember a game where he's gone, wow, he's back. But
we had a conversation on him last week, and my probably biggest remark on was that a man that can put a ball on a sixpence from a dead ball doesn't seem to be able to pass a ball that sets Bowen off or Paqueta off over 30 or 40. With that, he should have a range of passing that gets the ball and boom.
Yeah,
and that we just don't see it.
The problem is,
though. Sorry, James.
I just want to say this, Toby. Yeah, what it is with West Ham, they haven't got no midfield runners. No one's running from midfield. Everyone's too right back. Alvarez is a different level. Right, he's a CDM, really very good. I've rated him when he was at Dortmund. At Ajax, sorry, and I thought he was going to go to Dortmund, but he come to us. But is Ward-Prowse going to go beyond the strikers and beyond other players to float in the midfield?
Well, Souček has 9 goals this season, doesn't he? So he's doing it.
But Souček is always one of them players that he's always done that, isn't he? I mean, he's like, and he ain't going to do it all the time. It seems like when West Ham are backs are firmly against the wall, they have to launch it in the box for Souček because they don't know how to do it. So, for God, so I'll let you.
No, I was going to say, going by what Mick's saying there, I mean, when you look at Ward-Prowse, he has got that ability to ping a ball left, right, and centre, as they say. You know what I mean? He can do it. But when you look at it, like with Calvin Phillips, with Ward-Prowse, the old syndrome, Mick, as a player, you get that 5-minute syndrome. You come in, you start off well, and then you've got to maintain that. And if you can't maintain that, then again, as James said, if they're getting an easy breeze and just, because it's Ward-Prowse, free kicks, corners, we're going to rely on him. He's going to be okay for that. But if he's not doing it, then seriously, you've got to say, come on, son, come into the office and that, let's have a word, pull your socks up, get back out there, let's see what you can actually do. Because that's what's needed with some of these players.
Yeah. To be fair, though, if he was pulled in the office and he said, come on, son, you need to pull your socks up. If I was Ward-Prowse, I'd be saying, keep sticking me out on the fucking left then. Yeah?
It's true. Well, that's another debate, definitely.
If he popped up in the positions that he gets himself on the left-hand side on his right foot, he'd be whipping balls into the box there, right? He's more frustrating on that side than Ben Rama. And Ben Rama used to have tearing your hair out, right? But at least Ben Rama might try and take someone on before he cut back. Ward-Prowse is there and going, shit, it's on my left foot. He has to cut back and pass backwards. He has to, because his left foot is rubbish. And we saw that with his shot. It's like a back pass.
It was like a back pass, wasn't it?
If that's on his right foot, I'm sure he makes a lovely connection with that, right? But on his left foot, he's thinking, Jesus Christ, let me just get a connection on this.
Right.
That's on noise, right? he's funneling him out there. It's all right in popping up out there, but for him to keep coming down that side, that's got to be instruction, right?
But he's playing left side of the three, so that's it.
No good though, is it? He's
West Ham
ineffective.
need to change system there.
Yeah,
4-2-3-1 and attack games, and this it's very hit and miss with Moyes. Like people love him, people hate him, and then there's a middle where people go, you know what, they're not fussed either way. I know a lot of people who hate Moyes, want him out the door, like would literally lynch him outside Stratford. There are a lot of people who will back him all the way to the end because it's the best they've ever seen. I think he also is generational and all. Like when you look at a younger fan, I always say it's on E20 quite a lot because I do speak to a lot of younger fans between 18 and 25. Yeah, and they all say the same thing to me. So it's the common occurrence, really.
I must come on the show then if you have boys that young.
Well, there you go, Mick.
I'll pass as a 25-year-old, wouldn't I?
you're more than welcome. Anyone's welcome on E20. But what I'm saying is that people do look at it and it's sort of polarizing. People go back to the old days of McAvenny and Lau and all that, and they look at that and they're ingrained in that. Then people look at it right now that West Ham in Premier League era, this is the best we've ever been. So it's a bit very hit and miss at the minute with Moyes, but he's got to start going for it. Like on Thursday night against Freiburg, I expect attack, like because we need to win the game. And if he sits there and be passive again at home against the Freiburg side that we're giving too much respect to, then it's going to be a problem. Like I think it's like a rod for his own back for me.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking last week about playing 4-4-2, which is like in the modern era is not, but when he hasn't had that choice before because he's got McAvenny. He's got me going. He's got Mickey back now. Yeah, he could play Ings, around him. He could have Kudos and Bowen on either side because they work the flanks anyway, backwards and forwards. You could have Pakaketa coming backing up them central strikers, and then you could sit your back five if you like in there tight, and we'd have an attacking force. But he'll never do that. He'll never do that, and that's where you get the best out of Kudos, Bowen, Paketa. We've seen Ings have his chances and take them. Mickey will always score you a goal or two. And he'll fight in defenders, but I say can't pick his team for him.
Well,
that probably leads us on nicely to your show, Jeff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, I'm just going to bring this comment up from Exponential Anger here. Thanks for joining us. Thursday can't come soon enough for him. Well, I mean, we're going on Thursday, Mick, and I have to say, I am looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to going. I love going watching West Ham. It doesn't matter, does it?
And it's, in a way, it's nicely. I'd rather we were a goal up, but it's kind of nicely balanced for a lively night at the London Stadium. And I think
it'd be a better game to watch because he's got to score.
Yeah. And that's I'll just Ings with another striker around him was near unplayable. Won't see it unless it's a last resort, which is a shame.
Yeah, exactly what I just said, wasn't it?
Something in that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a super game when he played against Sheffield United, and that's the first time we've seen him since. Mm-hmm. And that was a desperation move, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Well, I think the Burnley game when he came on the last couple of minutes, obviously he got the goal and he had one disallowed in that, but I think that's probably the best we've seen him actually kind of play.
And hit the bar.
Yeah, and the bar as well, yeah. That's probably the best he's actually played for us.
Yeah, but
he was really unlucky with the offside goal. I think.
Playing alongside Mickey makes a difference because he does them things that Ings can't do, which is put players under pressure, force them down, force them backwards, and Ings will pick up what comes into the box, probably better than Mickey does, to be fair.
Yeah, of course. I mean, exponential anger is right there. When you think Moyes doesn't really play two up top, it's very, very rare that you see it. And for me, I mean, you can see I've already pulled my hair out because of it. But literally, it's something that we do miss. We've lost. I know people probably have different opinions on it, but when you look at Skamaka and what was his name, Haaland. Two good strikers, which have proven once they've left us that they haven't stopped scoring.
Yeah, but again, Moyes has bought them knowing the way that he plays. That's the strange bit I don't understand. He knows this. There are very few. Probably Ivan Toney and Michael Antonio are probably the two strikers in the Premier League that when they're coming for you, they're coming for you. You know what I mean? The ball goes up top, they'll chase it down till it goes over the line. You know, they'll put the defender under pressure, they'll knock them off the ball. Yeah, but that's how he wants to play. West Ham always play better with Mickey in the team. So
I think he stumbled across the sort of Paqueta, Bowen, and Goodis front three. Like that was more luck than judgment. If I'm being honest,
absolutely it was because Mickey was injured.
I think there's something in that.
Yeah, right. It was a lot more luck than judgment. And like for me, I've been calling for 4-3-3 for a long time. But what it is, it's okay playing 4-3-3 if you've got an advancing midfielder going forward, like all the time. Yeah, and backing up the play. If you like when we had. Well, I'm going to mention once tonight, even though he's playing, but when we had Declan Rice, he used to advance. He could go backwards and forwards, and Suchek can do it, but he can't do it as good. And that's the difference, basically. We haven't got someone from midfield. If you've got Goodis and Bowen on either flank, there should be midfield runners running in all the time.
If you did have Ings, Mickey, Bowen, Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudos on the flanks. That drop into that midfield when we're losing the ball. You're going to have. Look, Paqueta did it on Sunday. Went straight into the middle of the second half. He's backed up the striker. He's put the ball in the back of the net, and he had a couple of other chances.
Yeah,
you know. So, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating because this.
Basically, what it is, Alvarez and it should be Alvarez and one other player as a 2-man, and then you got. For me, I know people are a bit mixed on it, but Goodis on the left, I think, could do the job there. Bowen on the right, that's where he's best at. Antonio up front, and there's a 10, Paqueta. That's quite a frightening front four. Like you got Goodis, you got Basie on the flank, you got Antonio holding the pull up, and you got Paqueta floating around just outside the box for anything. And he's a player that will anticipate balls coming in. Like he's got an intelligent brain. Do you know what I'm saying? The problem is with West Ham is once teams go through the middle of us. Like we open like the part of the Red Sea. Do you know what I mean? It's just not good. So that's the problem, and our defence isn't good either. So,
well, our fullbacks are pretty decent, but our centre halves are shocking.
Who would you? I said this the other day on E20. Who would you say West Ham's best centre half is currently right now?
Right now. Personally, I think it'd be Agard. I think that his distribution gives him that coming out of the back. He's probably makes as many mistakes as the others, probably no more, no less. But when he comes out with the ball, I think he uses the ball much better than the others do. Mafropanos makes two. I like him, but again, he comes out. He does try and use the ball, but he does lose it a lot or give it away a lot.
Yeah,
so probably Nagard for me.
I think it's Mavropanos for defensive ability because in the air, I think he wins everything in the air. Like with a Gued, for me, he don't win no headers. Like that's the problem with him. He gets a bit scared on the ground. You're right, passing, long range passing,
and his pace. He's very
pace. I can agree with you on that. But Mavropanos for me is like he's a proper centre half. He's the one who will header everything away. He will throw his face in front of everything. The problem is him on the ball is a bit of a problem because
again, in last week's show we were talking about it, and I said I would play them two together every week. That would be my choice.
Yeah. For me, I'd rather go for Ogbonna and Mavropanos myself.
Well,
experience and young. You know,
Oggy's just been left to one side, hasn't he? You know. So, we did mention Oggy last week for the Europe game on Thursday. We didn't get a look in.
He's more calm on the ball, isn't he? You know, he can actually look out for a pass. That's the thing.
But he's 38 now, 37, 38. Yeah, but I'm saying, if you're going forward for next season, I don't think he'd be there for that.
No, but if you look at it, use him while you got the chance to for this season. Let's use it because at the moment, for me, Zuma's got it upstairs, but the legs just haven't got it anymore. They've completely shot.
Yeah, he looks buckled when he's running and passing, doesn't he? He looks buckled.
He can't, if he gets beaten 1-on-1, that's it. He's done. There's no way he's catching that ball.
There's no recovery.
No way. Nah.
He's actually starting to struggle a bit positionally as well, which he hasn't done before. He'd throw himself in front of things. He's all right in the air, but he's been caught a bit flat-footed the last few games, hasn't he? And,
he's got to be his legs.
That's a worry.
Jeff.
Did you see his interview after the game when they asked him about the goal? Did you see that?
No. What did he say?
Well, they asked him about the goal. They said, "What happened with the goal?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't see him." I thought you were in the 6-yard box. I cannot see him. Do you know, it's like professional footballer, man. You don't see someone in the 6-yard box when you were in it as well. Crazy comment to make on TV.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on, Jeff, to that, what you've been putting together?
Yeah, we can move on to that. Yeah.
So,
Obviously, there's lots of manager talk at the minute. So what I've done is I've put together like a bit of a slideshow, almost a bit of analysis that we can go through, and just some history, West Ham history, really, on a manager side. So we talk about Moyes, how successful he is. Should he stay? Should he go? That's the big debate at the moment. So just thought we could kind of go through and see how he measures up, really. Just get some feedback from everyone, see what they think.
well, this started. Sorry, Jeff. Pardon me.
Go on, I'm going to start with probably the manager that's the father of the West Ham way, if you like. I think probably all started with Ron Greenwood. Now, it's just a history lesson for me. He took over in 1961. He left in 1974. I didn't go to my first game till 76. So, you know, I can't talk from any great experience of watching the man and how he set his teams up.
Well, I
Mick's a bit
him.
older, so you remember him, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
But I've put a little slide here. And let me find it. So what we've got is Ron Greenwood. Can't believe it. It's gone. I might have to upload it again.
So this,
Bear
while
with
you're
me.
doing that, while you're doing
so
that, the reason that
Here it is. I
we
have
thought
it here now.
we'd chat about this is because
There we go.
Moisey has said he's the most successful manager in West Ham's history there probably 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah, what do West Ham fans want? Well, I would challenge he's the most successful manager. I'm not anti-Moyes and I'm not for Moyes. I'm on the fence. But yeah, I said to Jeff, that's, you know, I said this man here, for starters, he won our first, it's in front of me. So he won the first FA Cup for us, the first European Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah. Our only charity shield, I believe. That might be wrong, but I think so. Huh?
Scared, the charity.
Yeah,
shield.
we still won it, didn't we?
Okay.
Yeah, and none of us, we've never managed to win a League Cup final, but yeah, I mean, he started the ball rolling with 2 trophies. So, so is he the most successful manager West Ham ever had, David Moyes? And then you went to win percentages, didn't you, Jeff?
Yeah, and I've put in it on honours. It's not all honours because obviously semi-finalist is not really an honour.
But we're talking about
I
winners.
put them as achievements, really.
Yeah,
you know,
but we're talking about being the most successful manager, and I put that down to trophies. But you've got a win percentage there of, what's the top flight, Jeff? 33%.
Top flight win percentage over 550 games. So, I mean, it's a long period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bloke was in charge for 15 years, 14 years, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
33% is win percentage. And it's scored an average of 1.56 goals a game, but we conceded an average of 1.8 goals a game, which is weird, isn't it?
So going back to the 60s, we don't seem to have improved much since then. What's the next one, Jeff?
The next one is one that I do remember. It's John Lyall.
Mm-hmm.
And there's his record.
Yeah. So his top flight record was slightly better win percentage. And again, there's another man that won us 2 major trophies. Yeah, which you know, I think that European Cup Winners' Cup is the equivalent to the Europa League now. Yeah, isn't that what they changed it to? Am I right in saying
If
that?
you won the FA Cup, you went in the Cup Winners'
Cup. So, and then they stopped the Cup Winners' Cup and made the Europa League. A bit easier to win the Cup Winners' Cup at the time, but nevertheless, 2 managers, 2 trophies. Yeah. Did we go down with Lyall?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah. 1978, was it? Yeah. So again, he's got another side of that coin where, you know, as well as we've done, he still managed to get us relegated.
Which is why his record, he's got over 700 games.
Mm-hmm.
500 of them were basically in the top flight.
Mm-hmm. And his win percentage in the Championship, as it's known now, is just under 40%. So,
But
next one,
interestingly,
Jeff?
our goals per game, again, it's 1.3 goals per game scored and 1.45 conceded. So, I don't know. It's just figures, isn't it? Everything's relative, right? This is just like
The West Ham
numbers
way,
on a
Jeff.
bit of
That's what it
paper.
is. It's the West Ham way.
Sure,
Yeah, but when you think about him, the players that he had at the back there, the likes of Billy Bonds, Alvin Martin, Kevin Locke, all back in that day. I mean, Kevin Locke was a Rolls Royce, if anyone remembers him. Fantastic centre half. But there we go again with conceding more goals than we score. So this is what we're leading up to. What's the next one, Jeff?
and last show, he brought us our highest ever league finish. Do you
Who
remember
did?
that?
Oh yeah,
John
that was in
John Law.
'86. Was it
86 season.
I'm third. Yeah,
Third.
behind Liverpool and Everton.
I think it's 2 games we lost out on to actually kind of win the league. I do believe. Commentary.
We beat.
very
I
close.
remember this. We beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge either 4-1 or 4-0, which put us in second place. And then we played Everton on the Saturday at Upton Park and lost. I remember that.
That's that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I think it was either 4-1 or 4-0.
Bear with me because I've got to upload some bits here. After John Lyle, we had briefly Lou Macari. I did do a little slide on him, but I seem to have misplaced it. So we'll skip
I
over
think he.
and
Yeah, he had about a third of a season, half a season, did he? Because he had didn't he have
not
a
many.
betting scandal thing.
And then it came to this man who's
fan power
an
getting
absolute
that.
West Ham legend in my book.
Billy Bonds. See, he's top
And,
flight again. His top flight wins,
top
lads,
flight.
28%, 28.5%. Yeah, that 43.88 at the top is the year that we absolutely cruised the Championship. If I remember, I don't know what season that was. I can't remember off my head, but he was in charge of the Championship, wasn't he? Yeah, when we went up. Yeah, well, I think we won it.
And,
Didn't
and again, the top flight goals per game. We averaged 1 goal a game and conceded 1.39 goals. So seems to be a trend going on there with West Ham managers.
Well, it's the West Ham way, Jeff, that everyone talks about that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and yeah, I did like him though.
Yeah, well, look, Bonzo. We were talking about it earlier. You know, was it yesterday? And I said, you know, one of the best things ever was to hear the fans doing the Billy Bonds Claret and Blue Army. Like the whole stadium would be rocking. They played Luton down here in a cup game, and I think it hammered us. I think it was 3 or 4. And it's an old wooden.
They did.
It's an old wooden stand.
Alvin Martin played.
Yeah.
He was at the end. Alvin Martin. He got.
It's an old wooden
absolutely
stand, and I was
ripped
with my brother, who's a massive Luton fan. But we had tickets on the West Ham side, and the stamping of the and he said to me, he's never heard anything like that in any football ground in his life. He said, you're losing 4-0 or 4-1. He says, and all you could hear was Claret and Blue Army, Billy Bonds. He said today. He said, I've never heard anything like that at a ground ever. We loved him, but in truth, which we'll get onto later, 28.5% goal a game. Not great management, really, was it?
Well, you've got to think on that though, Mick. He's managed only half the amount of games that the other two have so far.
Yeah, that is true. Well, it's 237 games altogether, and you could put the two together, but they were in the Championship. But 84 games in the Premier League. Well, top flight. He wasn't in the Premier League.
Top flight.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he in the Premier League? 91, 92?
Well,
what season does the Premier League start? 92?
Yeah.
92,
92 wasn't it? 91.
Yeah,
92.
so was that his last season? 91, Jeff? Was he? No. Anyway, move it on, Jeff. Doesn't matter. Move it on. We'll talk about it later.
I got a comment here from Scott Oakes. Not the Scotty Oakes, is it?
No, that
Funny
you know
you should
who that,
mention that game.
who is that? Who is that? Is that that's not Scott Oates watching, is it? That's who's
Yeah.
the S? Huh?
Scott
Is
Oakes,
it?
yeah.
Is it? Oh, what
Yeah.
the Scott
Thanks
Oates?
for joining us, Scott.
Fair play to him.
Yeah.
Mm.
Leading on there, this man, he was a little bit controversial at times.
Yeah. Do you remember this, Jeff? Sorry, lads. Yeah, we went and watched. I think it was in the championship, and I think they played Oxford, and he played Teddy Sheringham up front. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't the top flight. It was definitely when we were relegated, I'm sure. And he played Terry, and he was kicking the ball long. And we came out and we said, we're not going back here watching that. And we were back the following week anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it's the most dire game I've ever seen. Yeah.
That's part of the
Under
West Ham
Pardew.
way as well, isn't it? Walking out of
Uh-huh.
games going, that's it. I've fucking finished. I'm not going back anymore.
Again,
And then
his
you go
win,
back.
his win percentage there being 36.3 or whatever, and his goals conceded, as you say, bigger than the goals we scored.
Again, though, half his games are in, like, from all competitions. He's got a 41% win percent.
Yeah, but who's he
Yeah.
playing in him? We're talking David Moyes Premier League on this. This is what we're talking about, isn't it? That's what
Yeah,
we're really
what I'm
talking
saying,
Yeah,
all
but
competitions includes cups, everything.
about. Sorry, who's on
Go
there?
James, sorry.
but he was in. Was it? He come in 2004, didn't he? After the relegation.
I wouldn't like to say.
Mm.
I wouldn't like to say.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, it was Roda was the manager. Then Brooking took over towards the back end in
That's
2003,
right. Yeah.
and then Pardew took over in the championship. So he
yeah.
got us to
I'm
he
not-
got us to a playoff final. We lost.
Mm.
He got us to another playoff final. We won.
Mm.
He then got us to an FA Cup final.
Mhm.
So he's done pretty. He done pretty well. Like that season in 2006 when I'm not sure where we finished, but I know we finished quite high up. And we got to the FA Cup final. That was a good season. Like considering he had the players like Gabardon, Collins, Anton, Airwood, Ashton. He had some good players. You know?
He did put a good team together that year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's. I think he. When he got sacked, I remember when he got sacked. I think we lost 4-0 at Bolton away in the piss and the rain, and he got the sack, and rightfully so. And then Kirbishley come in to sort of take over from, which helped save us really. I think.
Well, Kirbishley has an interesting win ratio. Actually, surprised me.
Depends who's
And,
playing, though, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah,
Premier
yeah,
League
and
as well. Talking about top flight football.
Yeah.
Who's that you got? Who's next, Jeff? Kirbishley then, is it?
I've got to do is James is absolutely right. I skipped over Glenn Roeder, so I'll put his slide up just on the theme that again in the top flight for Pardew, 1.27 goals scored per game and 1.3 conceded. So the theme continues. There's Roeder. You have to bear with me. You're going to chat about Roeder because I've got to upload the next few slides.
Well, he didn't actually finish his time at West Ham as a well man, did he not?
That's right.
Am I right in saying that? Did he?
Yeah.
He got his illness while managing West Ham, didn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, and basically they let him sort of recover while Trevor Brooking took over. And I think, if I got this right, we had 8 games left with Brooking and we won 6 of them. I think we lost one, drew one, and one we
No,
drew.
you're right there. You're right.
We had 4. Well, actually, we had.
was the last
I looked it up yesterday. He's got a win percentage of 60, nearly 65%. Brookings. He had 14 games. He had 14 games. He won 9. Yeah, he won 9, drew 4, lost 1. Yeah, when he came in, but he still went down with the biggest points tally in the Premier League ever.
I think it's just one of them. And the only problem is with Roeder, he's just too soft. That's the way it was. He was too much of a nicey nice man, and like R.I.P. to him, obviously. But like it's one of them ones. Like he allowed the players to run the roost. Even like, and I remember that 20 years ago. I was 16. So I remember like Birmingham away, the final day of the season, the 2-2, and it was just a heartbreak, wasn't it? Let's be honest. especially with the talent we had.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, Defoe definitely walked over him, that's for sure. You know, couldn't
Yeah.
get himself sent off and whatnot near the end, you know, because he wanted out, simple as.
Yeah, and he didn't know how to control Di Canio either. That's another thing.
No. Yeah.
can anyone do that?
I was
Mate?
going to say, yeah, beat
Yeah.
me to it. Who
Yeah.
can?
That's probably the best team we ever had that went down. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, by far. If you look at our team there, man, all them players went on to sort of either win the Champions League or win the Premier League. It was like one of the two. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was an amazing bunch. Like look at Defoe. Well, when I think about some of them players that we had like Defoe, Carrick, Cole, Canute, Glenn Johnson. Obviously, Di Canio was still there. Had some good players.
Oh yeah.
Even
team.
Sinclair.
Trevor
Yeah.
Sinclair,
Yeah,
played for
Sinclair as
England.
well.
He was playing so well. He played for England, didn't he? In the summer of that year.
Yeah.
Who we got next, Jeffrey?
I'll put a little caveat on these on the managers because I have missed out our temporary managers. So you touched on Trevor Brook in there. There's a couple of stints that Kevin Keane took over for a short time as well. But I haven't done slides on those. I've just kind of done the permanent managers.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to stick up this comment from Exponential Anger. He said, what's really mad is the need to analyse our successful managers against each other. Excellent work on this, by the way. I just find the need for it frustrating, and this turmoil is on Sullivan's head. And I think that's a really fair comment, to be honest with you.
What I would say to that at this present moment is we're struggling to find successful managers apart from Ron Greenwood and John Lyle, who won us 2 major trophies. I don't think the others can go down as successful managers, particularly. Good periods, but not successful managers in my book.
Well, and the goals scored and goals conceded theme.
If you want to comment on that, lad, sorry. Yeah.
Well, what do you deem success at West Ham? That is the $1 million question.
Well, that's the question we're going to come to at the end. So
Yeah.
at the end of this slide, but yeah, I will answer that. But let him finish the slide.
Yeah.
So again, the goal scored 1.15 for Roda. I'm just referring to the top flight here, and conceded 1.53. So again, the West Ham way is in full swing there. So after that came Zola. It's interesting, Zola, because he was pretty disastrous, really, but you really, really wanted him to succeed. He just didn't.
He's just a likable character, isn't he? But he's not had any managerial success at any time anywhere, has he? So
No, he hasn't really.
Did he have Parker with him? Did Scott Parker play for us when he was manager?
I think he did.
Yeah, because I think if that's the case, then Parker sort of carried. I remember when Parker carried us in that sort of. I think it was 2008, 2010, and it was like I think in the 2009-10, the year of the relegation, like sort of fight. Parker was the one that actually kept us up because if he didn't, I can't remember what award he won. He won some sort of award for like one of like, or he's up for an award, but he was
outstanding in that period. Outstanding, probably the best midfielder in the country at that time.
Yeah, he was very good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who's next, Jeffrey?
27.78 win percentage for Zola. I mean, that's dreadful, isn't it? And the goal scored 1.12 and conceded 1.43. So, yeah, still on the West Ham way, still going strong. Avram Grant was next. He was truly awful.
Yeah, let's move on from him, Jeff.
Yeah.
1.81.
I need to upload a couple of slides, so you need to. You need to find something to talk about.
Well, you could. Who have we had since then? Harry? No. Who have we had
since Grant? We've had a Big Sam, Village.
Since Allardyce, yeah, Village,
Moyes, Pellegrini, and then Moyes again.
Yeah, because you missed out when you think about it. You know, you've missed out Redknapp, haven't you? Because that was just after Bonzi. He came in, then, didn't he? Redknapp.
I have got a
That's what I'm
slide on
saying.
Redknapp. Don't know why I've missed him. I'll find
He
him.
had a. I can tell you what he had, Jeff. If you want, so going back through slides. Yeah. I did write it down earlier. Got it. Harry had a win percentage of 37%.
37%.
Go back to Harry.
But he had a good team there, though, didn't he? Like,
He had a great team.
Yeah, like, and he built a he went and got Paolo Di Canio, right, which no one would touch, obviously after the referee thing, and like he got him, Mark Vivian Foe, Paolo Wanchop. He had some very good players, people that some people don't even mention, like Michael Hughes was a good player for West Ham back in the day. Ian Bishop, Moncur, Andy Impey. I liked Impey. I thought he was a decent player.
Yeah, Repka as well. Repka.
Thomas
Repka was it?
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then you got like the older lot, like Potts, was a good player, like good servant, and he had a lot of good players with Redknapp. The only thing I will say in regards of sort of comparing managers and all that, you've also got to look at the money scale of things, like the way the money, do you know what I mean? That does come into account.
Jeff, sorry to interrupt. Jeff, put Moyes up there and let's move on from these managers, yeah?
I will. Hang on. Let me just involve the chat. Got some comments in the chat, so I'll go involve the chat here. So, Budgie, thanks for joining us. No problem.
Budgie.
All right. You're not too well.
Very well, mate. Nothing's too serious, Budgie.
Yeah, I'll speak to you tomorrow, Budgie. I'll give you a message or something, mate.
You're not well, Jeff.
Potential anger. I don't know. I'll speak to him tomorrow. I'll find out. Ex-potential angler says, personally, I love Zola. Not for his numbers, obviously, but the passion he showed in those good moments on the sideline. He had one of the lads feel about him. I must admit, I kind of in that camp as well. I did like Zola. I wanted him to succeed. He just didn't.
That's what I said. He was a likeable fella, but not a good manager.
So I missed out Harry. So there's Harry.
So top flight, 35%.
Yeah. And 1.2 goals a game and 1.33 goals a game. So even under Harry, and they were great times. We had some great times under Harry, right? But
did he come sixth, Jeff? Was that his highest position?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry, say that again, mate.
Yeah.
I think he comes sixth was his highest position, and that season we had a minus.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
I can't take the Intertoto Cup as serious.
No, but I've kind of included the European bits and pieces, so I had to put stuff in there. I mean, we brought this man. We talk about divisive managers, and we've kind of got one now that's divided the fan base. I mean, this was certainly a man who did the same for me, anyway.
I think he done his time though, Jeff. Like when I look at him, he was paid to get West Ham into the Premier League. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he was never. When you look at let's think of a manager right now. Like, look at Sean Dyche, for instance. He's gonna take Everton to where they are right now. Yeah, where they are. Now, if Everton in the future want to go up another level, they ain't gonna do it under Sean Dyche. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's basically it with Sam Allardyce. He was a manager that come in, done his job to get us promoted, done the job, established us the following season, and then should have been let go. But we'll talk about the owner at the end.
Yeah, we'll talk about the owner at the end. Yeah. But you're absolutely right, James. He did his job getting us up. His win percentage in all competitions is 37.5%. And actually, on that front, his goals scored and goals conceded is exactly the same at 1.3. But once he got to the top flight, his win percentage drops down to just over 30%. And goals scored is 1.09 and goals conceded is 1.32. So there's that theme again.
West Ham way, mate.
West Ham way. Yeah. And then we had Bilic after that.
Yeah. When you're talking about managers that you love, you couldn't help but love that man, could you?
No, you
Do you know
couldn't.
what I mean? There was something
I think-
about him.
I think what he done in the final season at Upton Park,
Mhm.
it was the right man at the right time and the right season, if that makes sense. So if you want to get, if you want an ideal season for West Ham to have a really good season with a special player, that was it. Like, so if you was writing a film or a book or whatever, that's how you would want it to play. I thought he looked tired at the end though. Like he looked like I think the owners were against him to a point, and he had a player. Let's be honest, Pyatt was arguably one of the best players West Ham's ever had in the Premier League era. I would say as an attacking threat. Like you can say probably Declan and all, but as an attacking player, Pyatt was unreal. And to lose him is like losing like the heartbeat of your side, isn't it?
It'd be like taking Paqueta out of us now, wasn't it? We just don't play without him, do we?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But he was infectious, wasn't he? Just
Yeah.
great guy.
And you're right, James. He looked an absolute shell of the man when he left there. It was a real shame to see, actually.
But as a manager, his best times are probably at West Ham because he's not done much since he left. Not in real terms, has he?
No.
Yeah, I think his best times as a manager for his career has been at West Ham. Funny enough.
I agree.
And ex-potential Angle says here, Allardyce has always been divisive, but his tenure was another one that was allowed to cause upheaval in the fan base. Again, Sullivan and his practices are the common denominator. And I find it hard to argue with. I've got my views on Sullivan and I don't think anyone's going to change them. I think he's absolutely spot on the money there for me. Now, Moyes did come in, and then we had Pellegrini, and then we had Moyes. But just to simplify things, I've done one slide for Moyes for his complete tenure.
Did you do the second spell, or did you combine the two, Jeff?
No, I've just combined his record as West Ham manager.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done two separate ones, but
no, that's all right.
I've just done the one. I've already lost Lou Macari. So then we had this man. Just talking about Bilic. What was his goal scored? Oh yeah, his goal scored was the same thing. 1.09 and 1.32. And on to Pellegrini.
Never took to him at all.
Cheap signing, mate. Simple as that. Like it was a cheap signing from Sullivan. It was a signing that looks good on paper, but had no future in it at all. It was just like, we're signing him up because he's memorable Pellegrini. He's been at Man City and he's won the Premier League. Yeah. Like there was no substance behind it. And what we got in the first season was pretty okay, I would say. I think West Ham finished 10th, if I remember rightly. Yeah, and we had Anderson. I think he was the one who brought Haller to the club, if I remember rightly. But towards the back end, like the signing of Roberto was probably the worst goalkeeper since Alan Knight.
Alan McKnight. Yeah.
Alan McKnight.
Yeah.
And I remember that from my family and everything. But
wow, Roberto, I forgot all about him.
Yeah, I still have nightmares about that. It was like a Spanish waiter, but
right.
But springing sort of, it was just a shambles towards the back end of that. Like I remember the game at Chelsea away when Cresswell scored 1-0 win, and we had what's his name, David Martin in goal, and it was basically like the fans were trying to get him over the line, and it should just never have been like that. So yeah, he was dreadful in the end.
I gave you a season ticket up for that season when he was in charge.
Yeah,
I'd rather watch paint dry. It was awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Never took to him in any way, shape, form, or manner, to be fair. But again, we're going what we're here for. Win percentages 35, not great.
No.
And here's the thing with him. I don't want to sort of. We're kind of what you wish for now with the Moyes thing, but they said to David Moyes, "No, thank you very much. You took us as far as you could take us. We're going to go for the champagne manager," and this was the champagne manager, right?
Someone corked it about 5 years beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too champagne, was it?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And his goals scored and goals conceded follows a theme of 1.28 and 1.52. So nothing's changed there. And then, well, we come bang up to date then, really, with David Moyes.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, chaps.
Go on, James, carry on.
I think in the Premier League era, he's the most consistent manager that we've had. Like, as in consistency. Like, I think for style of play, everyone's got a reasonable argument on that. Like, reasonable argument because it is shit. I'm not going to lie. But as in consistency, I mean, from taking from West Ham in 2020, New Year's Day against Bournemouth, 4-0 win, all the way to the present day, he's probably done the best job in the Premier League era. Like, and this is the argument where a lot of people have. This is where the divide is when it comes to old and new and everything, and bang like that. It's because you can't compare him to Lyle and Greenwood because it was different generations, it was different ways, it was just football was different back then. But I can compare him in this Premier League era because the money's slowly gone up each year, and I know he's had a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, he has, but it's the most consistent West Ham's ever been, ever in my life.
In that way, see, Jeff's a little bit unfair to him there as well, yeah, because I looked this up. Like
unfair to who?
To Moyes, yeah.
What have I done that's unfair?
Well, because his second spell is up at 46%.
All right, I've done him.
Yeah, you've done him over the two spells where he was struggling to keep us up. But on his second spell, he's up at 46%, which is way, way higher. And if you took away that first period, his probably goals for are probably greater against the goals against. So Jeff's absolutely correct what he's done, but it's a 2-period thing. And I went overall, and then I went second period, and the figures jumped considerably. Yeah. So yes, is he the greatest manager of all time at West Ham? He says he is. Probably consistency-wise, yes. Did Harry have the best team we ever had? For me, probably yes. He's won a trophy. The other boys won 2 trophies. In answer to your question earlier, what do I want? I'll tell you what I want. I don't want Arsenal coming to our ground. I don't care who they beat this season by how many. I don't want Arsenal. I don't want Man United. I don't want Man City. I don't want Chelsea. I don't want all these so-called big clubs coming to West Ham and turning us over time and time again. Yeah, it's been better under him, to be fair. Yeah, we're never going to win the league, but let's put a team out there that when these teams turn up that are the so-called big clubs, yeah, that we give them a game. Yeah, and then we don't sit back and defend. And that's all I'd ever want as a West Ham fan, that we walk away, so we gave them a game today. Yeah, and we don't get that. We couldn't even give that bloody Freiburg a game last week, who were an average German side. That's what I want.
I think for me, just to sort of come to me on this, I think when you've gone from Upton Park to Stratford, there has to be a mentality change. Like, you have to change your mentality as West Ham fans from going 15th, 14th, 12th, 13th, whatever is acceptable. Right? The moment we left Upton Park to go to Stratford, we should be top 10. Every year there should be a standard at West Ham, and let's be honest, for the whole of the Premier League era, there has never been a standard at West Ham. West Ham have never been expected to be anywhere other than stay in the league. So I think for what he has done, he deserves some respect. The football side of things has got worse, don't get me wrong, I will agree with you on that, but as a consistency level, I want West Ham to be consistent. Like, I don't want West Ham to be I don't want West Ham to be consistently crap, but I want West Ham to be sort of consistent in sort of regards of finishing in the top 10. Like, I agree with you. We're never going to win the league. Like, Champions League, we'd have to have a lot of money pumped in, and then also have an ambitious owner. That's a different story. But a top 10 finish has to be a given. Like, big ground, London.
I would say a top 6 finish, if I'm being honest. And that's why I say when teams like these big six, as they like to call themselves, I mean, you know, what have Tottenham won particularly? I'm not anti-Tottenham. I think Tottenham are a great football side right now. But you know, what have they won? You know, in the last 30, 40 years, not a lot. Yeah, but they're called a big six side, and that that doesn't annoy me because it's Tottenham. I'm thinking, why are you a big six side?
I think it's because they can get Champions League, like this season. Could Tottenham get Champions League? They probably will do.
They will
You know
do.
what I mean?
Yeah, they're,
And,
they're a
and
terrific side right now.
and the thing is, with us, West Ham are sort of side that are just not on that cusp yet for me. I know they've done it 6th, 7th, 14th trophy.
Do you not think we've got the players though? You know, I just feel we have the players to do that.
I think we've got the players, but we haven't got the ownership, Mick.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have not got the ownership to be as ambitious as what all us fans want to be.
That's
I think
what I was going to say. Yeah,
like
ambition.
it all goes back to ambition. Like we could all sit here and say, right, I want West Ham to finish 7th every season, but does David Sullivan want West Ham to finish 7th every season, or does he accept wherever we land? Like as long as we don't get relegated. Do you know what I mean? I think that's more realistic with him until he goes. Like I agree, West Ham should be pushing up there, but if West Ham finished 8th or 9th, I wouldn't be going mad about it. I'd be like, well, at least that's a pretty good season, West Ham. Like, do you know what I mean? In that bracket, once you get the top 6, after the top 6, let's say Newcastle are there, Brighton are there, Villa are there, we're there. I think if we finish like best of the rest, I think that's pretty good for us, if I'm being honest.
It's better than last season, that's for sure. Apart from the cup, obviously.
What do you reckon, Tony?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying there. I mean, it's as you said, ambition is the key thing. And if your owner's not ambitious enough, they're just happy to take the revenue and stay in that position. There are no worries about relegation. If they get in that 10 to 6th to 10th position, he's going to be happy as low, isn't he? Simple as that.
Yeah. See, I see a few of the comments in there saying about like the manager and everything. They all go back
just
to the
going to
owner.
come to them in a minute, James.
Back to the owner. Like for me, like you can take Moyes out, but will we get the right man at West Ham to come in?
Well, this is the whole point of this what we did, because there's a lot of debate. I don't want to have Moyes out, Moyes in debate. I'm saying look through our history. Yeah, apart from Lyle and Greenwood, which I agree your comment earlier, it's a different era.
Yeah, 2
major trophies each, and the rest, apart from having an exciting team under Harry that actually went down, I think the following year, was he? Yeah. We have achieved nothing, absolutely nothing in them years that shows any progress. So when you moan about Moyes, and I do moan about him, we've been watching it for years. So why suddenly that he's the bad boy? Because he's actually, as you rightly said, James, he's been more successful than anyone in the Premier League era.
He's been the most consistent manager. Like, I think people who go in on him, they go in on him and they won't admit that he is our most consistent Premier League manager. Like you have to listen. I've called him out before and everything. And I've even said, maybe it is a time for a change, but it's not Moyes I worry about. It's Sullivan. It always will be, because I just don't trust that man to do the right thing. Like the one thing you don't do is leopards don't change their spots, and deja vu does happen. If we take him out and we put in another manager who's a name, so to speak, and it goes backwards fast, it's a different level now. Do you know what I mean? It happened with Pellegrini. Not to say that I don't think Moyes deserves to go, or he should. I think he's done his time. I think he has done his time. I think he's done a lot for West Ham. And I think the way it is right now, like that, I think the best way of doing it is you take Moyes out of the situation, you bring a new manager in. It's just who the new manager is for me. And it's whether people say about it's Steiden, I understand that, but Steiden don't sign the checks. Sullivan does. People got to remember that. Sullivan will agree to a manager, but only on his terms. He won't agree on no one else's terms. So there you go.
So if we take Moisey out and you go, sorry, Jeff, go on, mate.
I just want to bring some of the comments in, get the chat involved. I'm getting behind and I'll lose track. So see what everyone's saying in the chat. So Hammerhead saying, I think he's referring to Ward Prowse here.
Yeah,
since he's joined the club, his power and connection to the ball's gone down so much. His free kicks gone, don't have the pace and whip that they used to. I think one thing on Ward Prowse, I know we're all expecting him to chip in with all these free kick goals and one thing or another, but actually he doesn't score that many. And I don't think he's had that many real opportune chances. And the ones he have had, can't argue, he's wasted.
Yeah, I agree.
What does look at Villa mean? What does that mean, Jeff? Look at Villa.
Emery, with Emery coming in, Mick, you know what Emery's done there.
Yeah, but again,
And exactly what Hammerhead says. Just imagine where we'd be if we bought Emery in.
Yeah,
right,
but
would everyone be saying that if they'd beaten us 4-0 on Sunday? That's what I'm saying. You know, as much as these names are here, and I think Villa have had a terrific season. Yeah. If Tottenham of all teams, not that I say I'm not anti-Tottenham at all. I'll watch them when they're playing good football, but if they'd have beaten us 4-0 on Sunday, that'd be a different conversation going up there about Emery, wouldn't it? You know, so you have to be careful. The thing is, what do you wish for? And I don't know. Does Irvie, would he make any difference? He's way behind us in the league. Hasn't won a game in 8 weeks. You know, there's a big shout for the Wolves manager, O'Neill, but he's still he's a lot to prove yet.
What you need to remember is a few years ago there was at least a section of West Ham fans who were shouting and screaming about that Wagner who was running Huddersfield or whatever. What a great manager he'd be and all that. Well, the wheels fell off the following season. He's never been seen since, has he?
But the only thing I will say, it all goes back to ambition, mate. Like I'm going to say it, I'm going to be honest, gentlemen. Like it all goes back to that key word. Like as fans, we should be ambitious. Like we should be able to attract a top end manager at the club, and it all goes back whether the ownership of the club are prepared to pay for that top end manager. It's not Steiden I worry about, because I think Steiden's recruited well, but I do worry about in regards of the ownership of the club, because I think the ownership of the club are going to look to sell within the next sort of 2 years. I think Sullivan's at the door in a few years' time. I don't think he's going to be hanging about any longer. So it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Whether I like it or not, it wouldn't surprise me if he gives Moyes another 2-year deal and then sells up after that. Because I think he's trying to. I think he's running on borrowed time, Sullivan, now, and he's got nowhere to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think what it is, the fans' expectations, and this is another thing that I'm going to bring up. Moyes has took us to a standard now where the fans expect for once, rather than sit there and go, you know what?
That's very, very true.
Do you know what I mean? We expect now, rather than just go, it is what it is. We're rolled on next season, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Well, we expect top 10. Like for me personally, I know Mick saying only about top 6. I'm a bit. If we finish top 10, I think that's a very good, considering the ownership of the club and where we are. And like we are building something at West Ham. I think when you look at the players that we've got, we are building slowly. It's going to take time. Like, and it all goes back to the key word, which is ambition. Like we're all ambitious, but is our owner ambitious? That is the $1 million question. I don't think he is. I'll be honest.
Well, he sold us a dream when they moved to the London Stadium. We've gone to this club to buy bigger and better things.
Yeah.
To be fair, that has been fulfilled to a degree, because we have been in Europe for the last 3 years and we have had consistent top finishes. So there is a bit of that in there.
But I don't think, I don't think, though, I just want to say this, Tony, but I don't think Sullivan recruited Moyes to get us into Europe. Like, do you know what I mean? When he came in, that was to stabilise West Ham. That was basically what Moyes done with Pellegrini. Like, so afterwards, what was it? Village, Moyes, Pellegrini. It's the same thing again. It was Pellegrini, Moyes, to stabilise us, to sort of land us onto the next manager. But what he didn't realise is that Moyes actually done pretty well with West Ham. Like, I think what he's done in spite of Sullivan. I think he's had a lot of help. Don't get me wrong. He's had money. I understand that. I hear this quite a lot when they say about money. I really do. And I find it quite a joke, really. I really take offence to it, because that's the reason why we moved from Upton Park to Stratford, to spend money, to buy best players, and to be competing at the top end. So, like, it's not coming out of our pocket. It's coming out of the ownership and Kadinsky's pocket, and rightfully so, because that's the reason why we moved 8 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? So, there you go.
Some comments there, Jeff, is there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'll just go back to this one. Barry says, I think if Moyes knows how to rotate and play players in their positions, give others a chance, like Cornet, Mubama, and any other under-21 player. I guess he's kind of referring to that probably people would be a lot happier. And he runs them in the ground, doesn't he? And I think Alvarez was an example of that. I watched him on Thursday night, and there was a couple of times I thought he looks like he's running through treacle a little bit. And I'm not surprised he didn't start on Sunday. I think he was genuinely trying to give him a rest. But Phillips was that bad, right, that he had to bring him on.
Yeah, great.
And I don't know where we're going to be because he's got to play him this Thursday, right? And then we've got Villa on Sunday. The only good thing is McGinn's missing. That's all I can say about that game.
But
anyway,
he does make Villa tick, to be fair, McGinn, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I've got to get on with some of these comments because I do want to involve the chat.
Yeah.
So Dean says, who sits back at home to Burnley? And I mean, he's completely right, isn't he? I mean,
answer West Ham.
We touched on it earlier, didn't we? Two halves, first half, second half, chalk and cheese.
Yeah. Sorry, Jeff. That Dean had said about managers. Just if he's able to hear this, if Moyes was to go, who would be his pick when he's ready?
Yeah, sure. Anyone in the chat, if they want to chip in with their ideas, who they would like as a manager, if we assume, and it is an assumption, but if we assume that Moyes is going to go at the end of the season under whatever circumstances, everyone put their ideas in.
Well, he's definitely anti-Moyes. I wonder what his choice would be.
Barry says Moyes is stubborn and he has his favourites every week and late subs. And yeah, the subs is so frustrating, isn't it? There's no variety. Apart from this week where he changed it at half time, everyone was surprised. And normally it's like 70, 75 minutes before he's even thinking about it.
He brought Mickey on in the 89th minute on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Have you started to notice the amount of empty seats in that stadium? I wonder why. Well, I don't know. I can't really comment.
I can answer that if you want me to go ahead. West Ham's a franchise now. Like, it's as simple as that. And I know people say.
What do you mean by that? Sorry, I don't understand that comment.
Right. Basically, David Sullivan has turned West Ham into a franchise. So basically now he's attracted tourist fans to the ground, and the hardcore fans who used to be at Upton Park week in, week out, he don't rely on them no more. He don't rely about filling the seats. Like, I can guarantee you there might be empty seats, but they're paid for. Right, and that's the difference. I agree. Yeah.
They are paid for.
Yeah, because there's no way he would allow that to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Like, I haven't been to West Ham. I haven't set foot in Stratford in 8 years. But once we left Upton Park, I said I will not set foot in Stratford until Sullivan's out the door, because I think I know quite a lot about Sullivan and I'm not impressed at all. The difference is when you've tried to turn West Ham into a franchise, he don't rely on he looks at them seats as like tokens, basically, to say, right, that's a tick list, and he don't rely on the fans now. Like, he proved it in COVID season. Didn't need the fans, but he had the money from TV revenue and everything. The fans is just like an additional bonus every sort of match day, and that's what it is really. So if it's empty seats, yeah, there's going to be empty seats, but what they lose on one, someone else from Southeast Asia will come over and go there and pay the money and just be that seat, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I'm going to Hammerhead. Ings came out in the press about a month ago apologising to West Ham fans on the fact that it didn't seem like he was giving his all. Certainly different now. He's pulled his socks up. Well, I mean, he was super against Sheffield United. We touched on that earlier in the show as well. And he ain't had another look in until Sunday. But he was superb on Sunday. And James, not alone. I think Alvarez, Antonio, and Ings all did their bit to change that.
But you've got again, but it goes back to what James was saying earlier on, that he stumbles across things. You know, Mickey makes a difference to me. He may not be the world's best player, but Mickey in the side, give Ings more room, more time, play him there. Yeah, he's never really played.
Centre halves a harder time than Bowen does.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, he said, as like James said earlier, though, Mick, it's a case of it's Moyes, isn't it? If Moyes ain't going to play him, and some people in the chat have said exactly the same thing. He's got his favourites, and Ings is not going to be able to apply his game. You know, he probably is got the potential to do.
Again, on a big negative, who signed him? David Moyes. Crazy.
So ex-potential Anger says he's not trying to down Moyes. He does deserve respect for his achievements. But the situation has been allowed to deteriorate for no other reason than to take the heat off Sullivan and the board.
I'm just going to say
I don't
this.
really argue with that.
I know Exponential Angler very, very well. He's an American, really top man. So if you're on Twitter, go and follow him. Yeah. I've done many spaces about this. What he's just mentioned there, and he's bang on the money. Exactly how I feel. This situation with David Moyes has been brewing for since Prague. I'm going to say it was last year, right? But you isolate that and say that's just a one-off bad season. But from Prague, from the 8th of June, like 7th of June, we won the trophy. From the 8th of June onwards, it's just been building up. And this is the reason, like, the reason's on Sullivan at the end of the day. Like, Sullivan had a choice to make last season. He was too busy on Talksport trying to sell Declan Rice. And he should have turned around and gone, right, we either back this man long term or we let him go on a mutual agreement and we go out and get another manager who will have European football. West Ham are more appetizing with European football, like especially Europa League football, to a manager rather than if this season we finish 9th and we ain't got nothing. Are we really that attractive to someone?
We're not gonna make any high class signings if we're not in the Europa League.
Right.
We're not going to get an Alvarez, a Kudos like we did this year. They don't want to come. They want to play Europe.
Yeah, I agree on that 100%. That's why it's been so important. It's so important for West Ham to get Europe this year. Any form of Europe, whether it's Conference League, they have to get something.
Yeah.
Just to get in the door. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's that key word again, isn't it? Ambition.
Budgie's got a question. Sorry,
Right.
Tony.
That was my comment. What I was saying, Budgie, was that the best West Ham side that I watched that I can remember would have been under Harry with all them players, DeCanio and everything. We came 6th or 7th that year, and then the following season we got relegated. But that side was I don't think Harry was manager, was it? Didn't he go after a dispute over Frank Lampard? Yeah. So he actually wasn't the manager when they went down. Is that correct? Is that my memory right?
Yeah. What it was, because Lampard got sold, I think, for about 12 million to Chelsea. Yeah. And then Roda took over. It was Roda who come in, and then Roda obviously left because of his problem with his brain.
Because we lost Joe Cole that year, did we as well?
We lost everyone in 2000. Everyone in 2000. Yeah.
But before that season started, did we lose Carrick as well to Tottenham?
No, we lost Carrick. The season we got relegated. Right. Next season we lost Carrick to Spurs. The only players we lost was Ferdinand to Leeds and Lampard. Right. Lampard to Chelsea.
Defoe went
in 2004.
I hear you, Budgie, but I was just saying from watching a side that I absolutely loved, if you take out the days of Brook in Devonshire and all them, which, they were great to watch, but not necessarily a top side. That was a top side for that season.
But what would you say, though, Mick? What would you say was the ambition there, though, for West Ham? Just to stay in the league, would you say?
When?
In Redknapp era.
In Redknapp era? Well, I think with the side he had, no, that was I mean, God bless Glenn Roeder, but when Booking take over, we spoke about it briefly earlier, 14 games, 9 wins, 4 draws, and we went down with 43 points, I think, the most. Is that right? Is that a memory? Yeah. Went down with 43 points. Went down with 43 points, the most in the Premier League. Had Roeder, I think Roeder was probably ill for some time, and as you said, things got out of control, and maybe he didn't. I'm not blaming him for, the man is dead, so we're not going to talk about it. But at the end of the day, when Booking came in, we went win with that same team, and we nearly did it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think having Harry go when he did, all right, young players will be ambitious. Look at Cole Palmer, for instance. He leaves Man City. People say that's not ambitious. His ambition was to play in the Premier League every week and get an England shirt. And you know what? He's nearly there. So is anyone saying, you went off for 40 million. I know Cole Palmer at Man City is probably not a big loss to them, but I'm saying people are ambitious. You know, people blame Frank Lampard for going. I don't know what the financial. I can't remember who was in charge at that time financially. Was it Story or someone? Was it
Story?
Kearns and Story, yeah.
Story, yeah.
Yes,
So
Story come in.
Weren't financially stable around that time either. People must remember. Harry spent a lot of money bringing.
Oh no, it was Terence Brown, wasn't it? Terence
Brown.
Yeah.
Was it?
Story,
I can't remember. But
yeah.
So what is West Ham's ambition? And you said it yourself. You think top 10. I think it's top 6. What we would want, what the board want, and who knows.
But would you be disappointed, Mick, if we finished 8th? Really?
I would be disappointed if we finished 8th because we can't win the Europa League. We're not good enough, so we should be concentrated on the league. And we're only last week we were 3 points behind a poor Man United side.
Great, yeah.
Right. And had we have won on Sunday, we'd be still 3 points behind them. But now we're not. We're further behind. I think we can get into Europe. And as the comments you said earlier, if we get into Europe, we will get better players again. Because, it's Europa League. It's not Champions. Not everyone can play in Champions League, but you're still playing at a high level Europe, and that's what we should be. If we want to progress, then we need to be getting players in that can progress us. You're not going to get them to progress us unless we're in Europe on a regular basis. You know, like players on a regular basis.
But what is the sort of what's the Mount Everest for West Ham? What's the top? Like, obviously, people say Champions League.
No, I don't think we're good enough. We're not big enough for Champions League.
Yeah, I don't think we've got the financial resources.
No, we haven't.
For the first thing.
No, that's right.
And we haven't got the I don't think we've got the structure at West Ham currently right now to even consider that. So, what is the sort of peak West Ham?
The ceiling for me is being Europa League every year. If you could achieve that on a very regular basis, I think West Ham are at a point where, as you say, structure-wise, money-wise, expectation-wise, I think you finish in the top 6 every season, then you've done well. If West Ham went to Champions League and had to play them teams, they would probably go out in the league stage. You know,
we would. It'd be in the Europa if we were lucky.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But you got to bear in mind, we know who we are and what we are, but there still has to be. Otherwise you're buying bang average players.
For a lot of money. With some of these
for a lot of money. Sorry, Jeff.
It's all right. I just need to. I'm a little bit behind. Barry says we need a manager like Eddie Howe. He makes the best out of the players. He gets and uses youth players when he needs them, and is capable of getting Champions League football with the right team. Well, I touched on it earlier. I quite like Eddie Howe. I'd take him. I know you're not like.
It's not for me.
Not your man, but I wouldn't be upset about that.
Yeah, but I'd love to know what his win percentage rate in the Premier League is.
Well, he hasn't got one with West Ham, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, I was saying, but yeah.
Hammerhead says Ogbonna, without a doubt, is our best centre half. Egerd is our worst. He's been at fault for way too long. It's way too many goals. He's positively poor, headless chicken. I think he's getting a bit shown up the way we get set up, but I think he's got a bit of a point at times as well.
I'll put another one that, again, just for the sake of the lads here. Colin, do you want to finish that, Jeff?
He goes on to say Oggy's the real GOAT, my true captain. But he's been a brilliant servant, Oggy, but he's past it.
So last week we were talking about Nagar briefly, and I said he's got pace, he can tackle, and he can pass. Yeah, why we can't never seem to replace Creswell? I think he'd make a fantastic left back personally. Yeah,
wouldn't be a bad shout.
Yeah, honestly. I'll just move him across. Yeah, I think he made terrific. Put Emerson in front of him if you need that. In the big games where you need a little bit of grit and steel, and you have to drop one player just to make us a bit more solid. I would love to see Ergar playing left back for West Ham right now.
It's not going to happen. Certainly not under Moyes.
No, but
I was thinking about the JWP.
He has all the assets.
Right, but I'm thinking about the JWP thing that we've talked about earlier about him popping up and being ineffective. I think we'd get more out of him if we played 3 at the back right? Mavropanos can come out to the right. Agard could come out to the left. You've got Emerson in front as a wing back. I'd even play Ward Prowse as a wing back before I put him on that down that left hand side where he keeps popping up. I'm not saying it's his natural best position, but I honestly think we get more out of him than we do now. But that might be a controversial thing. I don't know. Ex-potential anger says, none of us can predict the future. Any manager could be next within reason, but there's no guarantee they can achieve. What is certain is Sullivan is a difficult owner to deal with. He goes, we move.
Great
He
comment.
probably means we move on.
Yeah, move on. Yeah, great comment.
I think he's right. Sullivan is difficult to deal with, and I think he's shown that in the transfer windows over the last, all the time he's been here. I mean, he's upset half of Europe, and he, at one point or another, fucked up transfers.
So where does this Kudensky come into this then? Is that the right way to say it? Kudensky?
Kutinsky.
Yeah.
Mm.
The thing is, his hands are tied, don't it? I know he's
What does he come into all this? 20? Did he buy 27%?
27%, but his main thing is Sparta Prague, and he can't buy another club. He can't buy into another club.
Right.
But even he was the one who brought Stein in it. Kudensky.
Yes.
He was the one. Like, people say this is on Sullivan and all that. Not for me. I don't see Sullivan sitting there scouting the German leagues for the German technical director.
No.
Absolutely, this is a Daniel Kudensky thing all day long. I remember last season, Leicester at home, we lost a game and there was massive cries from Moyes out. Yeah, and there was also cries in regards of like the structure of West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Enter Tim Steidten. Yeah, so that falls on Kudensky. I think for me, Kudensky, his hands are pretty much tied because Sullivan has the final say. Yeah, I think Moyes would have been sacked a long time ago if Daniel Kudensky was in charge. At the end of the day, if Daniel Kudensky was the man who had the final say at West Ham, Moyes wouldn't be here. He would have been long gone for me, if I'm being honest.
All right.
So,
Well, I'm going to have to be long gone, gents, because it's 9:30 and I'm up early in the morning. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure to meet you guys.
No worries, Mick.
Yeah, I'll speak to you in the week.
These comments. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'll speak to you in a week.
Take care, mate.
Buddy. Take care.
Cheers, Mick.
Nice to see you later.
later.
Bye-bye.
Unusual. Tell mate.
Bye.
Dean says if Moyes has a new contract, he'd rather watch rugby instead.
Yeah, I am.
And Hamad says, Oggy shows if you read the game well, you don't need pace. Thiago Silva, also a similar kind of style. Yeah, you got a point. I'm not sure Oggy's any Thiago Silva.
He's got the experience though, Jeff. That's the main thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that level head.
Barry says, Moyes has took us as far as he can with the players we got at the moment. We need a more exciting manager to take us to be a top 6 team and maybe push for the Champions League. I think he's probably myself. I think Moyes has probably reached his ceiling. I think he's done a good job for us in the time he's been here, but I think he's at his limit. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think I agree. But the only thing I will say in regard to that is that I think something needs to come out whether he's staying or going at the end of the season, before the end of the season. Like, I think if you should it go the way it goes and he don't say anything from now to the end of the season, and then come like the 26th, 27th of May after the final game's done and dusted, like, and he says, like, he's not going to renew his contract, he's going to leave. I think it go from being a sour departure. You know what I'm saying? I think if you're going to go and you know it, like, you know the time's up, just come out of it like sort of 2 or 3 games before the back end of the season. Like, I understand the reason why he hasn't done it because it's still Europa League and everything else. But if West Ham, I actually think if West Ham get Europe this year of any form, I think he probably could sign a deal. Like, he could do it because I think there's a deal there. Like, Sullivan ain't going to be looking for another manager, right? For me, Sullivan's not looking for a manager. It'll be Steidten, yeah. But if he gets Europe, there's an excuse to stay. Because I can't really see him giving Europe to someone else, if that makes sense. Like, if West Ham don't get Europe, I think he walks. So I think it's as black and white as that.
Well, that's what kept him in the job last season. You think about it. If it wasn't for the Europa Conference, he would have been gone ages ago.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like I just think there needs to be a resolution to all this. There really should be like, and whoever the manager is, it has to be a long-term appointment. Like not looking at someone because their CV is like it looks good and they're an older manager. If you're going to go and point at a 40-year-old manager or a 45-year-old manager who's like done some good stuff, but you're looking at a 5-year plan, yeah, I'd rather see that happen and accept that as a fan and go, you know what, it it might not work this next season because the first season. Because let's be honest, the expectation will be he's going to have to match what Moyes has done.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? And like, he ain't going to do it in the first season, but if you can see a structure in place where it looks like it's building towards something, then I'm all for it. But would it happen? If I'm going to be honest, the more I sit here and look at it, and the more I've focused it on E20 and everything else, and some of the people I've spoke to on E20, I think they're going to offer him a new deal. I think it's basically Europe. Yes, no Europe. He's out the door. He's gone.
Yeah,
You might be right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Few suggestions in the chat here for their manager. So Dean says he'd like the Fulham manager. Barry says Eddie Howe or Gary O'Neill for him. And Wazim says Ruben Amorim would be mine, but he would take Howe as well. Hammerhead says he'd take Eddie Howe, as Newcastle will probably sack him because they won't be happy with where they're looking to finish. Budgie says Danny Blind or Lopetegui.
I think Lopetegui's on the cards, to be honest.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't know if you feel the same way, James, but for me, I wouldn't mind Thomas Frank.
I just think West Ham Sullivan don't buy no one out their contract.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
It's a fair comment. Yeah,
and I'm going to be honest. The Lopetegui shirt, I called it since January. I said it wouldn't surprise me. He's still in England. He's still in the UK, and he's interested in the West Ham situation. Yeah. Now, obviously, people say about Gary O'Neill. Don't get me wrong. He's done a really, really good job there. But is this a one-season wonder? That's the only thing I will say. Like, because people could say that about Moyes in the first full season, he gets a 6 in the league, and he was like the best thing since sliced bread. So I think you know more about Gary O'Neill next season. The Eddie Howe one, I like the idea, but the only problem with that is if he does get the sack, is he going to be ready to go into another job straight away? Like, he's getting a sack from one job and walking straight into another. They don't need to do it now. Like they can wait, they can buy their time, and they can look at something else. But the Lopetegui one, if Sullivan picks the manager, it's Lopetegui for me. Yeah, he's there. He hasn't got to buy no one out of his contract.
Yeah.
The manager that I would want is what the gentleman said previous, Almerin. That's Sporting Lisbon. I think he's an excellent manager. Works well with youth. He plays a brand of football that I think West Ham fans would love, and it'd cost a few quid, but when you're an ambitious team, you've got to pay the money for the best managers at the end of the day.
Hammerhead says he's been saying for nearly 2 years that we need to get rid of Moyes. No one's listened. He was one of the first to turn, and we didn't capitalise like other clubs such as Newcastle and Villa, and look where Villa are. And Newcastle last year, to be fair, but not so much this year, but we'll see. There's 10, 11 games left, so anything can happen yet.
Yeah, injuries have killed him, haven't they, Newcastle? There's no two ways about that.
Yeah. And Ahmed thinks if we'd made some signings, we could have won the Europa League. Could possibly be in the Champions League now and competing for top 4 in the Prem. I'm not sure we'd be top, but definitely be pushing for Europe.
If you look at the comment, I think you said earlier, when it was nearly 2 months back, I think it was nearly enough of 9 points away from Arsenal at the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do think the January window has killed West Ham. This January window just gone. Yeah. People will look at Moyes on that, but I don't look at Moyes on that. I just can't. I can say about Moyes on a lot of things, and I would openly say that. But on a January transfer window, that's on the ownership of the club, and that's especially on Sullivan for me. We all knew for ages that we need a left-sided winger at this club, like for a long time.
Yeah.
And November come, December come, and we're all thinking, right, come the 1st of January, they're going to start kicking into gear with that. Like, surely they must have someone that they can go and get. And to not go and get anyone, I know you've got Calvin Phillips, but you've let Ben Rama go, Fornells go, Connor Coventry's gone, Tilo Kehra's gone. I understand Kehra and Coventry to a point because they weren't going to do nothing. But the Ben Rama and Fornells one still does slightly baffle me a little bit. Like, is it best to have too many attackers and not enough? And I think we've got not enough, so to speak. Like, one injury in our side, and we're a completely different side to how we are when we're fully fit.
No, exactly. Oh, look at that one. You know, the one that was apparently on the cards, the Ibrahim Osman deal.
Yeah,
and now he's going to Villa. We couldn't sign him, but they've managed to do it.
Brighton, Brighton.
Sorry, you mean Brighton? Yeah. Brighton. Sorry.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? This is what I said, because I was doing spaces on Twitter and I was speaking to a lot of people, and my argument is that how can there be like illegal agents all of a sudden that comes out, and it's like these keywords that keep coming out all the time, and then 5 days later Brighton get the deal done. It just feels like to me that you're trying to you're lying to us, right? And do you know what it is? Where you've seen the lie so many times, like for me personally, I don't believe nothing when it comes to like that regard. Yeah, because I just think there's more to it all the time. There's always like he didn't want Osmond, and like there was the Osmond, there was Jota in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But it's just ironic that these two players, one of them's got an illegal agent they said they can't sort out, and the other one's got tax issues that he can't get out of in Saudi Arabia for another 6 months. It just makes no sense to me. Or it does make sense. It's like they look like they're trying to make stuff happen, but technically they're not, because they ain't going to be able to do it. It's just, and that goes from the owner, mate.
Did that a couple of seasons, didn't we? You know, the usual one. We looked at these players, we tried to get them, but
2 years ago, like 2 years ago, Calvin Phillips, Rafinha at Leeds, Darwin Núñez, who was at Benfica at the time. Like, if people was to just sit back, write it down, and go back over the last 10 years of transfers where it's looked like it's going to be, there was like times before with Lopez. I think it was Maxi Lopez, I think his name was, in Spain, supposed to be coming here. There was Carlos Bacca. There was the Portuguese centre defensive midfielder who was at Sporting Lisbon. Like, it's so many times that West Ham have looked like trying to get a player in, and it's okay trying to do it, but if there's no body behind it, then it's just lackluster for me. So
no relevance.
Barry says it here. I mean, Sullivan's got form for it, and Barry says I think we could be a Champions League club, but not with Moyes and Sullivan.
Yeah,
and he reckons he's got more chance of becoming a billionaire. We would need new owners to get anywhere. I think we all kind of concur with that sentiment.
Yeah.
And Hammerhead agrees about Agard as a left back. He said he's played there a few times, but it's not for us. Yeah. And he's got the pace for it. But I think we can all see that. William says Sullivan's list for next manager will have Benitez, Bruce, and Big Sam on it. The man can't be trusted. He's absolutely right. He can't be trusted. That's for sure. And he says, Barry says, for him, Eddie Howe was a great manager at Bournemouth. Did well at Newcastle before their players all got injured, and Newcastle is too much of a Eddie to keep his job. I think there's something in that. And Hontip says, any concrete news on the Paqueta investigation? Well, there's nothing I know about it.
Well, did he? It's supposed to have been dropped, isn't it? They've dropped all charges on him.
Have they? Last I heard, they were going to charge him.
No, I think it's.
Don't believe what you hear.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right there. Yeah.
None of the above.
Well, I've made it down to the bottom of the comments. And we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes now. So it was longer than I was expecting. So do you guys want to shout out your channels before we knock it on the head?
I'll give you the pleasure, James.
Well, thank you very much, mate. Each on his own TV. Come over and check me out on there. Me and a few lads. But betting, football, West Ham, the perfect mix. I will say that. But yeah, go over and check us out on E20.
And I'm Early
Tony?
Doors Football TV. You can find me obviously on here and on X and on Facebook as well. Got a couple of shows coming up lately, and James and Jeff, there is a show I want to do, which is like a Q&A interview with you guys. So when you are free, yeah, I'd like to get you on there for that one as well.
No worries.
Terrific. Thanks for that, Tony. All right. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed the show tonight. Thanks to you
Been good.
guys for joining me. Thanks to all in the chat. Just ask everyone, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do that. And if you haven't done so, please go to Tony at Early Doors and James down at E20. And thank you guys very much for coming on. It's been
Thanks,
a really
mate.
great show. I've really enjoyed it.
Good.
No
And,
worries at all.
fingers crossed we get a good result on Thursday night and perhaps on Sunday as well, and we can all have a certainly end to the week. Have you guys got anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
For me, West Ham attack Thursday. No excuses now. We need to win the game. Like, attack is the order of the day, and this is a make or break now. This game, because if we go out in a whimper after like a really good sort of campaign so far, especially in the Europa League, it'd be sad. It'd be very sad. It could kill the season. So as long as they give it everything and attack, I believe they will get it done. But the West Ham way is making it hard for ourselves. So it wouldn't surprise me if it goes all the way. But yeah, just get it done for me.
Tony, anything you want to add, mate?
No, I agree on that. I mean, basically, we've got to go for it. Simple as, isn't it? It is make or
I can
break.
see extra time. Not going on Thursday. I can see extra time.
Yeah, the West Ham way again, Jeff. The West Ham way.
Yeah. Anyway,
100%.
thanks for you guys, and
you're
I'll
welcome.
speak to you soon. Thanks for everyone joining us in the chat.
Cheers.
See
all.
you all soon. Thanks, guys. Bye for
Take
now.
care, man.
Take care.